Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be talking about the Kotaku sized elephant in the tube. So yes, I'll be talking about the unfair reviews that Survive has been getting. So before you turn off, I will not be going over any of the plot or story elements that weren't previously revealed in any pre-release interviews or trailers or any information there, and I won't be editing any of my gameplay or screenshots or videos or anything. None of that will be put up. So this will be, again, another spoiler-safe episode where I don't actually address anything that actually happens in the story, and I won't be even addressing anything that we didn't already know from those pre-release interviews or trailers. So I'm also going to be reading a lot in this video from this Kotaku review, so just a heads up that my eyes will not be here, they'll be here for a lot of the video because I'll be reading that review so I can address the points in that article, because a lot of people were waiting for official review sources before making a decision on whether or not to buy the game or not. Unfortunately, that means that people who don't like this type of game or don't like Digimon might also be reviewing this game and might be enjoying it less than someone who does like this type of game or does like Digimon, or both. So I just want to address those points, so I'll be reading a bit about the article. So yeah, my eyes won't be here, they'll be here. So yeah, so with that all the way, I do want to address one more thing before I get into it, and I'd like to address my previous Survive video. So I got a lot of comments about this, and I just want to address that and just reply to some of those comments directly in this video. I did reply to some in the comments, but I thought I'd also go over them quickly here. So in my video, I mentioned how Survive isn't a visual novel, which isn't exactly correct, and I should have worded this a little bit differently, and that is an error on my part there, so that's completely on my end. So what I meant was, the Survive isn't a kinetic visual novel, which is more of a traditional, more of the initial first visual novels that were released. And these ones, which I think in my video I likened them to Higurashi, where they're just like text with pictures. They're like storybooks. No choices, no like diverging paths, no extra gameplay. They're just stories in a video game that you just click through with some pictures. So they're just linear. So that's more of what I was talking about, and I did explain that a bit in the comments, but it's my fault for not actually addressing that in the video itself, or not being clear about what I meant by traditional or kinetic visual novels. So yeah, the kinetic visual novels offer no choices, and I had seen a few people concerned that Digimon Survive was a kinetic visual novel or a linear visual novel, which is just no choices, no other gameplay, just text with some pictures, with some characters reacting, like in Higurashi. So I had seen a few people concerned about that being, so that was my reason for saying that it wasn't a kinetic visual novel or traditional visual novel. But I should have mentioned that other visual novels do exist that do have the diverging choices. It's just not the type of visual novel that I was referring to, but I should have made that more clear in my video. So that is my whoopsies. Apologies for that. So modern visual novels do offer the choice. However, I didn't really cover that much, but this is more of a modern visual novel, which does have diverging paths and the choices and different things to do, like a point-and-click adventure. I still stand by the fact that I would rather call it a point-and-click adventure because there's more stuff to do than just the dialogue, but since a lot of people are calling it a visual novel, in that case it is a visual novel, but I prefer to just call it a point-and-click adventure. So I still will call it one of those, but visual novel, that's still true. People can call it that is fine. So the other fact is that developers never tried to hide the fact that Digimon Survive had visual novel elements. In fact, unless I'm completely in a different universe where I have this memory, at Digimon Con, they straight up said that Survive would be mostly dialogue. I believe it was like 70 to 80% dialogue, with like the rest being the tactical RPG or other aspects. So it's funny because I've seen a lot of negative reviews for Digimon Survive saying, but it's 70 to 80% visual novel, which is hilarious because before release they actually said that that's the percentage that it would be. Unless, again, I'm completely misremembering that, but I'm fairly certain it was a very high percentage. In any case, it was mostly this dialogue choices, the interaction with the other characters, and not so much the gameplay. They never tried to hide the fact that it was And yes, we will call it visual novel because I was wrong in that case. It's visual novel first, tactical RPG second. And it's funny because all the negative reviews are saying, but it's visual novel first and tactical RPG second. Yes, that's what they said it would be the entire time. They did not hide that. But is it a good visual novel? In my opinion, yes, but I also enjoy the visual novel aspects, and I'll talk about that more in my reviews. This is not my review, this is a addressing of errors that I've made and also the unfair negative reviews that Survive has been getting. So, in any case, so I would more liken this, and I'm fairly certain I mentioned this in my initial video, is that this is more like the Danganronpa series, which is lots of text. You interact with things like a point-and-click adventure, like you do in Survive, and then there's other aspects of the game. So in Danganronpa, it's the class trial. You investigate a murder. Very point-and-click adventure. In Digimon Survive, you interact with people, you interact with the environment, and then there's the tactical RPG battling. There is, of course, the functionality that you can free battle whenever you're given, like, free time to explore the areas. So you can actually have more battles if you'd like. They're free battles. You can recruit other Digimon, you can grind and level up your Digimon there. You can have all your battles there. That's fine. You can do that forever and ever and ever. There's no limit to free battles that you can have once you're in the free time or exploration area of the game. So you do have a lot of times where you can have those battles. And from what I can tell, I'm up to chapter 8. I've been streaming it. If you want to check out the Twitch channel, I'm sure that's linked somewhere in the description. But from what I can tell is there seem to be more battles as you go in through the game. Not so much at the start. That's a lot of text at the start, but it does actually seem to increase, at least in my playthrough. But that's all I'll sort of mention about my own playthrough in this video. So now we can talk about the Kotaku elephant in the tube. So I just thought I'd address all that before I got into that. So, first of all, the reviewer appears to not understand that Survive was always marketed as I mentioned earlier, visual novel first, tactical RPG second. In fact, this particular review actually says that it's like 70%. Now I'm gonna get up that where they actually say it. So it's like, the result is a slog of a game that's 70% visual novel and 20% tactical role-playing game, and 10% horror, totaling out as 100% waste of their time. So this seems they just didn't enjoy this game, and that's completely fine. You can say that something's like not your sort of video game, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad game. Maybe this was the wrong person to review this game. Maybe they just don't like Digimon. Maybe they don't like this style of game. Maybe they don't like visual novels. That's fine. But it's kind of hilarious that they complain that it's 70% visual novel when they're playing a visual novel. The marketing, the trailers always had scenes where you're interacting with characters with choices. Now, some people said, but they should have shown more. They couldn't because of how many spoilers that would give. They would give away entirely too much of what happens if they showed the gameplay with all the choices without just mocking something up that's completely unrelated. They could only use clips from the first, 2 chapters. So, of course, they would have to show a lot of the free battles, actually. I'm noticing that a lot of the battles that they've shown are completely not plot relevant, so they can't spoil anything. So, of course, they couldn't exactly show the whole game's worth of visual novel dialogue content in those trailers, but they never tried to hide the fact that it was what it was. They even said at Digimon Con, as I mentioned, there would be mostly dialogue. So this is a weird take to have when you're playing a visual novel. If you don't like visual novels, maybe this isn't the right game for you. I'm not the biggest fan of visual novels. I don't play every single visual novel that ever came out. I play them if they've got interesting gameplay, or in this case, if it's Digimon. So that's kind of a weird point to have because it's always been marketed as dialogue first, battle second. Then this is the part of the review that I just can't get past. It is really funny. So it says, Digimon Survives follows a gaggle of teenagers on a school camping trip who were unceremoniously transported to a mysterious world where fantastical anthropomorphic creatures called Digimon run amok. If you think this concept sounds familiar and eerily similar to Pokemon, you'd be right. What? Has this person played or watched Pokemon ever? Or watched Digimon for that matter? Or played a Digimon game ever? In Pokemon, You are already in the Pokemon world. Pokemon are everywhere. Everybody has Pokemon. You were given a Pokemon when you turn 10. Sometimes preschoolers have Pokemon. You all have Pokemon. You are not transported anywhere. Not an isekai. You live in the world. In Digimon, in particular, Season 1 of Digimon, Digimon Adventure, which is probably what everybody thinks of when they think Digimon. They think Digimon Adventure. First series of Digimon, Tai, Goggles, Agumon. There we are, Digimon Adventure. In that series, they are transported to a mysterious world where Digimon are. That's the plot of Digimon Adventure. That's the plot of Digimon Survive. I only probably saw the first 3 seasons of the Pokemon anime when I was younger because I got too old for Pokemon, but I played every single Pokemon game. The only case of an isekai or a character from one world being transported to another world is Arceus, where Arceus has... I'm still not... I can't remember if it was exactly said in the game, but it's all at least implied that your character is from the Pokemon modern world, gets transported to the Pokemon, the past. It's an isekai. It's like Inuyasha. She's transported to the past. Your character is transported to the past from the future, but it's still Pokemon world. So there's no, you are not transported from our world, this world, human world, no Digimon, no Pokemon. You're transported from Pokemon world to Pokemon world. In Digimon, you're transported to human world to Digimon world. I'm not sure where they're getting this take. It is I get the point that a lot of people say, oh, Digimon's just a Pokemon ripoff because they've got monsters or something. Lots of those. Did you watch anything in the 90s? It was all monsters were very cool. They're still very cool. Digimon are cool, Pokemon cool. I like them both. It's just a weird take to have in games journalism that these two things they've got similar-ish factors, but they're not that similar once you talk about them. But the fact that they're taking an aspect from the game where you're transported into the world of the Digimon, being from Digimon Survive, and saying that's a Pokemon thing, that's weird. I'm sure even Pokemon fans who don't like Digimon will say that's never happened in Pokemon. Unless I'm completely misremembering a time that happened. But Pokemon's always been in the Pokemon world. Digimon's always been Digimon world and then human world. And you kind of you go between the two. So that's a weird take. I don't understand that take at all, actually, at all. So tries to fuse the visual novel style of dialogue choices with battle-related social links, a la Persona, but it's not very good at either of those things. It's weird. I don't, why, whenever there's an open-world RPG lately, it is either Skyrim or, more recently, Breath of the Wild. Whenever something's got, the aspect of friendship, it's called Persona. When you go, let's say you're on Tinder, right? And you're talking to someone. Do you say that the gameplay of Tinder is like Persona? That's just, buddy, go outside, talk to people. The social links are actually a real thing. It's called friendship. And it's also weird that we make it more like Persona. I would say it's more like Danganronpa. Persona is, yes, you talk to characters, but the gameplay and the style of the game is more like Danganronpa because point-and-click adventure, as I mentioned earlier. So that's also a weird take. And then it says that then it has a complaint, it says, then we've got the tactical RPG. The problem with Digimon Survive is that it takes forever for characters to travel across tiles in the game's large battle arenas. Even if you spare their animations by hitting the skip button, most of your movement will be spent getting within range of the enemy. Have you played a tactical RPG? Because that is every tactical RPG. Some characters can move straight to the boss or straight to any of the monsters, immediately with one turn. Falcomon in the game, very good example for that. Because wings. A lot of flying ones do move fast. Digimon have done this before in Anode Tamer and Cathode Tamer. That game, you can actually spend ages trying to get to your opponents. This Survive does it a lot better. I don't think it's an issue. I think that's just a tactical RPG aspect. So I don't think the person who wrote this review is a fan of visual novels or tactical RPGs. So in that case, I don't think they should not have played Digimon Survive. They just don't like those games. And that's fine. That is completely valid. I'm not saying that you have to like this game. I'm not saying that you're wrong if you don't like this game. I'm saying if you say that it's a bad game just because you don't like the aspects. If you're complaining about a visual novel with tactical RPG elements for having a visual novel and tactical RPG elements, you're probably playing a game that's not right for you. And, like, this person mentioned that they only played up to Chapter 5. I would say that the game really starts to pick up after Chapter 5. That's just an RPG thing, unfortunately. And here's where I will make it similar to Persona. Persona 5, you spend like 5 hours in the tutorial. It doesn't get started for 5 hours. I would say that Digimon Survive was less of a slog than that, but I also really liked Persona 5. But that's it for my Persona 5 comparisons, because it's a very different style of game. So, this person goes on a lot about, like, you can interact with things, and the character will reiterate the obvious. That's just what happens when you interact with things in point-and-click adventures and visual novels. Rarely does exploration reward you with items that aid you in combat scenarios. And became inundated with health items they never needed because that was a cakewalk as well. Can't relate. I've used those items. If you think the game's too easy, there's a difficulty setting. It's as soon as the battle loads, you can change difficulty at any time on the Switch by pressing X. It's not hard. Teenagers and the Digimon in the game have an emotional fortitude of grade schoolers. Would disagree. I say that a lot of the characters have a lot of emotion. I won't get into what emotions I think, because it would count as spoilers, but I think that they're quite realistic, actually, because they have their own emotions and their own reactions to things. I feel like they're fairly well written. I feel like they're realistic. And also, I think people often think that teenagers are adults and they should always act like adults. No, teenagers still sometimes make worse decisions than like, in this example, grade schoolers. Grade schoolers can be a lot nicer. Teenagers, they're going through a lot. They're going through puberty. That's not faulting them. I was a terrible teenager. Everyone's a terrible teenager. If you say you weren't a terrible teenager, you probably are still a teenager, or you're one of the good ones who did not do anything wrong in high school, which is fine. That's fine. But in this case, they have their own issues. So then this person talks about the Digimon anime. Digital monsters care deeply about their human counterparts, but Digimon the show forges a believable bond between the pair. The strengthening of said bonds is what leads them to evolve. In Digimon Survive, evolutions just happen out of left field. Would disagree. To get to the stage where you evolve at least to perfect and onwards, you actually have to, like, talk to them enough and have them grow in their own person, and their relationship improves, and also the character themselves improve and grow up themselves, and you kind of talk them through that. You have to increase your affinity to evolve. So I wouldn't say that they evolve out of left field. They kind of evolve because of the affinity, and your own Digimon evolves when plot elements happen. I feel like sometimes it's better than the anime in that way. And they say, oh, you see, Digimon just know anything about their partners and can tell them exactly what they need to hear to put a fire in their bellies in battle. And that's kind of the point of Digimon. So that's kind of like, Digimon are an extension of the partner human's self, the partner human's personality. It is kind of weird that we're not, like, we're saying that's a bad thing. That's the point. They are meant to be your soulmate. They know how you're feeling. They know what you need to hear. And then, interestingly, the reviewer talks about a Japanese reality TV show that I really liked, called Terrace House, but then talks about specifically the Tokyo 2019 to 2020 season, which it's kind of, that's kind of a rough one to bring up, because it didn't finish for very, very sad reasons, which I won't go into because they are exceptionally sad, and you can look that up in your own time. I don't think that they should reference that one. I feel like they're saying that, you know, they're almost saying that it feels like Terrace House because of the interactions and how they're just, like, day-to-day realistic interactions. Tokyo 2019, and I guess actually all of Terrace House, one of the issues was that it came out that it was, spoiler alert, not as unscripted as they said it was. So it's not kind of a bad thing to address there. So the drama between characters is compelling either. Would disagree. a lot with that, but I won't go into that because spoilers and plot elements. The characters help progress in the game while the villains push the plot forward. It's kind of the point of the game. It's one of the games that have like your true ending and then your like branching endings that change depending on how you play it. They've even said, and this is not a spoiler because it was said at Digimon Con and prior to the release of the game, but Digimon Survive, in the first playthrough, you cannot save everyone. You can only save everyone in New Game Plus and your subsequent playthroughs. So it's kind of like the humans are kind of like, you can't save them and they're kind of a little bit jerkish. And you can fix that in the New Game Plus. That's not a spoiler, that's just something they released prior to Digimon Survive's release. And then, while the devs practically begged reviewers not to spoil anything that happens after the game's 5th chapter in hopes of preserving that surprising emotional twists and turns the story has to offer, the plot point only trickled down to frustrating them. They started to actively root for characters to meet their demise because of how demonstratively ineffective the group collectively made choices. You can promise to be a deeply personal story all you like, but they would rather just be spoiled than to suffer through the playing through the game to reach its conclusion, and the journey isn't worth it. I would also disagree here, but I guess this is more like, this part is more of an opinion piece, that they didn't find any of those moments fascinating or what they wanted. Yeah, so I can definitely see, having played past Chapter 5 and Chapter 5 in particular, I can see why they use that as a do not spoil anything that's Chapter 5 onward. So I completely agree with Bandai saying, hey, don't spoil past that. I'm glad that they did say that. A lot of people aren't listening to that. I've seen a lot of thumbnails and titles on YouTube straight up spoiling very big parts of it. I've tried to even, except for uploading videos, I don't scroll through, and my phone's buzzing. I'm using a different phone. I should have put that on Do Not Disturb. My apologies. My other phone decided not to, my usual recording for phone decided not to do the thing. But anyway, so I'm wrapping up anyway. So yeah, I don't scroll through a lot of YouTube because a lot of people are using titles and thumbnails as spoilers for past Chapter 5, which is kind of a bummer because I'm only up to like Chapter 7 or 8. But in any case, those are my feelings on these reviews. There's obviously a lot of other reviews that are negative. A lot of people were review bombing it on Metacritic, which is a shame. But I just thought I'd go over this Kotaku article because it's essentially everything that's wrong with all of the review bombs. But yeah, just to reiterate, if you don't like a game, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It is possible that it is bad, but if you don't like visual novels, if you don't like tactical RPGs, if you don't like Digimon, don't play a Digimon game. I would even say that if you don't like visual novels but do like Digimon and do like tactical RPGs, I would still say give Digimon Survive a shot because at least you won't hate it. I don't feel like the visual novel aspects are that bad, and as I said, as you go on, there's less and less aspect of visual novel in the game. It's also more of a point-and-click adventure. If you like Danganronpa, you will probably love this game. If you like Danganronpa, Digimon, and tactical RPGs, this will probably be your favourite game ever. So, just to prove that, I love those three things very much. I love Danganronpa. Haven't finished the third one yet. Read a spoiler because I'm an idiot, scrolling through what I thought was an unrelated Wikipedia page and then spoiling myself because I'm an idiot. But yeah, I love Danganronpa. I love tactical RPGs, Final Fantasy Tactics. Love it. Love Digimon, as you can probably tell by, the everything behind me and the fact that I have a Digimon YouTube channel. That's probably a good indicator. In any case, I love this game. I don't think it's a painfully boring tactical RPG at all. I feel like games journalism's at a weird place. I feel like that you shouldn't have to review a game that's not your cup of tea. I feel like if this person didn't seem to be that enthralled by Digimon in general, nor were they enthralled by visual novels or tactical RPGs. So the fact that they don't like any of those three things, or at least it didn't seem that they liked those three things from this article, it made it feel like they were more like just not into the whole idea of the video game. They don't feel like a fan. I would be much more interested in hearing from people who do like visual novels, do like tactical RPGs, do like Digimon. I'd rather hear about those people, because I'm sure that there are various other opinions, and I'm not saying that not liking this game is wrong or anything. You're allowed to not like this game, but I wouldn't say it's a bad game because someone didn't like it. In any case, I will have more reviews coming up. about Digimon Survive. I just wanted to address the review bombing because it's been consistent, especially on Metacritic, where when the game first came out, a lot of people, I guess, who were trying to avoid anything to do with the game or were just buying it. First of all, I don't think that's a good way of getting a game. I feel like, I mean, I'm the worst example. I will just pre-order a game. I love Pokemon. I don't watch the Pokemon trailers. I just buy the game. Mostly that worked out for me. Did not like Sun and Moon, but like everything else, so that's fine. Personally, I would think that, like, if you're going to, like, really review bomb a game because you bought it, I would say that you should have probably done a little bit more research to see if this is a game for you. Digimon Survive seems to be not a game for everyone, especially those who don't like visual novels or don't like those aspects, who really don't like those aspects. The game never tried to hide the fact that it was a visual novel. I've seen some really weird reviews and really weird complaints, but overall, definitely the likening to Digimon Survive, which is probably the furthest from Pokemon that the franchise has ever been. The closest probably being Digimon World 2003, where you effectively have to battle gym leaders. But I also love Digimon World 2003 and I will fight for it, so that doesn't mean it's bad, but it definitely felt like it's the closest to Pokemon. You had to choose your partner Digimon. You got a pack of 3, but you still had to choose, and you also had to fight gym leaders, and then there was also an evil organization. That's probably the closest we've come to Pokemon in all of the Digimon franchise. Digimon Survive is probably the furthest away, so it's very funny where they say that the school camping trip, where they go to the world of the Digimon, is like Pokemon, when the first season of Digimon was the kids going to a school camp and being taken to the world of the Digimon. That's weird. That's the first season of Digimon. That's something that happens in Digimon Survive, not something that happened in Pokemon. They could have definitely made the comparison that it is just Digimon Adventure for grown-ups. That would 100% be an accurate complaint if you wanted to have that as a complaint. I don't care. I feel like it's different enough from that. If you wanted to say that it feels like it's just Digimon ripping off themselves, that's fine. It's weird that they've done the Pokemon connection when they could have just easily done the Digimon connection. Weird take there. But in any case, those are my thoughts on the review bombs. I still would recommend this game. Again, I've also gone over the fact that I was wrong by saying that it's not a visual novel, because what I more meant was it's not a traditional linear visual novel, which a lot of people were concerned about, and it's also not just a visual novel, it also has those other aspects, but I still would recommend this game. I'm almost halfway through. When I'm halfway through, I'll probably do another review video where I do talk about the story a little bit, still not super spoilery, and definitely not anything that's past chapter 5. It'd be probably more like the first 3 chapters, rather than like anything onwards if I do address anything to do with the story and the plot. But in any case, those are my thoughts about Digimon Survive being review bombed, and especially this Kotaku article in particular, which again, it's just still wild to me. In any case, those are my thoughts, so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. If I messed up my wording again, I apologise first of all, but also ask me in the comments. I don't bite, necessarily. I might if you really want me to, but I don't typically bite. I don't mind you disagreeing with me. If you disagree with me, well, let's have a conversation in the comments. I welcome the discussion. I'm not saying that I am the king of the Digimon, and my opinion is, is God's word. I don't mind. We can have a discussion in the comments. I'm not saying that you're wrong if you don't like this video game. You're allowed to not like it. You're now allowed to disagree with me on any accounts at all. Except if you don't like Appmon. If you don't like Appmon, what's wrong? That part was a joke, for clarity's sake. But in any case, those are my thoughts on the whole review bombing thing. I still say, if you're on the fence, listen to Digimon fans. Just search up Digimon Survive Review on YouTube and click on anyone that's from a dedicated Digimon content creator, like Khan, Base Digimon, Digino, myself, if you want. Any of the Digimon content creators that love the franchise, that are just constantly, like, marketing Digimon better than Bandai ever could. So check out those content creators, especially Traxtel, Digital Hazard, any of the streamers, Samantha, Digitama Queen. I'm definitely forgetting some. If I forgot you, I still love you. But those are just, that part I didn't write down at all, so I just sort of listed off names. But the streamers, the YouTubers, anyone on Twitter that is a diehard fan of Digimon, check out what they have to say about the game. Not necessarily just the big name games journalists, because they might not just like they might not like Digimon. They might not like the genre of the game. Listen to the Digimon content creators to help you form an opinion on whether or not you should buy this game if you're still on the fence. So don't just take my word for it. Go out and explore the other Digimon content creators if you want an opinion about the video game. They've all got reviews or thoughts written at least somewhere, be it Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, what have you. Also, I'm a Twitch affiliate now, so you can go subscribe. As I mentioned, that should be in the description. If it's not, please call me out on that. But in any case, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to meet 12,000 subs by the end of August. I'm about 300 away there, so I'm kind of negative. I'm still trying to reach 15,000 by the end of the year, but that's looking kind of unlikely, so I'll settle for 12,000. So yeah, comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends, I don't know. Let's have a discussion about the game. Tell me why I'm wrong, tell me why I'm right. In any case, I've got Ghost Game to watch. I just really wanted to talk about this topic in particular before I got carried away on anything else. So I will let you know how I go with that, and we'll do a review in a few days, I guess. So check that out when it comes out, and I, for some reason, can't remember how I finished the video. I've been just ranting for so long, so thanks for sticking by me for that. So in any case, I'm going to end this video now before I run out of breath, because I should breathe every so often. So I'll see you on the next video. Bye!